A quiet storm. The transformation of Eleanor Harris. In the fluorescent-lit aisles of a suburban grocery store in Columbus, Ohio, Eleanor Harris moved with purpose. At 52, she was a tech titan, her name whispered in Silicon Valley boardrooms, her company a beacon of innovation. Yet here, in her faded jeans and navy sweater, she was just another shopper, her cart half filled with essentials. The store, a familiar haunt in her hometown, was a place of routine, not reckoning. But today, routine would unravel, and a single moment would ignite a movement. Eleanor reached for a box of oatmeal when a voice sliced through the hum of the store. "Hey," snapped a clerk from behind the counter, his tone dripping with disdain. "You got enough cash for that? Or are we dealing with another thief?" The words landed like a slap, loud enough for nearby shoppers to pause. The clerk, a young man in his 20s named Travis Miller, smirked, his eyes fixed on Eleanor's dark skin. To him, she was a stereotype, not a person. Eleanor's hand froze mid-reach. Decades of microaggressions had honed her instincts, but this was different, public and brazen. She turned slowly, her gaze steady. "Are you talking to me?" she asked, her voice calm but edged with steel. Travis leaned forward, undeterred. "Yeah, you. Just making sure you know the rules. Can't have people walking out without paying." A hush fell over the aisle. Shoppers lingered, some clutching baskets, others fumbling for phones. Eleanor felt the weight of their eyes, the tension coiling. She could have walked away, but something snapped, a resolve forged in years of being underestimated. "You sure about those assumptions?" she said, her words deliberate, slicing through his bravado. A woman nearby adjusted her purse, her phone subtly angled, capturing the exchange. The air crackled with the promise of consequences. Travis scoffed, oblivious to the storm brewing. "Just doing my job. Seen plenty like you come through here." His words were a match to dry tinder. Eleanor's lips curved into a faint, dangerous smile. "Your job," she repeated softly, "is about to get a lot more complicated." She resumed shopping, her composure a silent rebuke, but the ripples had begun. The video, now circulating online, would soon explode, and Travis had no idea the fire he'd lit. By evening, the clip had gone viral, shared across platforms with hashtags like Justice for Eleanor and End Retail Racism. Eleanor sat in her cozy living room, the Columbus skyline glinting through her window, her phone buzzing with notifications. She hadn't planned for this, but the world was watching, and she wouldn't look away. The video showed her restraint, her piercing question, and Travis's smug response. Comments poured in. "This is why I avoid that store." And she handled that with grace, "But he needs to be fired." The next morning, Eleanor met her old friend, Patricia, at a local diner, the kind with checkered floors and bottomless coffee. Patricia, a community organizer with a firebrand spirit, slid into the booth, her eyes alight. "Eleanor, you okay? That video's everywhere. People are ready to march." Eleanor stirred her tea, her mind racing. "I'm fine, but this isn't just about me. It's about every person who's been profiled, dismissed, or worse." Patricia nodded. "You've got a platform. I'll use it. That store's part of a chain, and they're scrambling." The manager, Linda Carter, sent an apology email. "Wants to meet?" Eleanor's jaw tightened. An apology was a start, but she wanted more change, not platitudes. "Set it up," she said. "And let's get the community involved. This needs to be bigger than one store." The meeting with Linda Carter was tense, held in a cramped office at the back of the grocery store. Linda, a woman in her 40s with tired eyes, greeted Eleanor with a handshake. "Ms. Harris, I'm horrified by what happened. We're investigating Travis's conduct." Eleanor sat, her posture unyielding. "It's not just Travis. It's a culture that lets this happen. I've spoken with your employees, Maria, Alex, David. They've shared stories of bias, ignored complaints, and fear of speaking out." Linda's face paled. "I wasn't aware," Eleanor cut in, her voice firm but not unkind. "That's the problem. You need systems training, forums, accountability. I'm working with community groups to propose changes. Will you join us?" Linda hesitated, then nodded. "Yes. Let's do this right." They outlined a plan: mandatory bias training, employee-led discussions, and partnerships with local advocates. Eleanor left feeling cautiously hopeful, but the real test was yet to come. That afternoon, Eleanor faced Travis himself. In the store's break room, he sat, hands clasped, his earlier bravado gone. "Ms. Harris, I messed up," he admitted, his voice low. "I didn't think. I'm sorry." Eleanor studied him, searching for sincerity. "Why did you assume I was a thief?" she asked. Travis shifted uncomfortably. I don't know. It was stupid. I've never done that before, I swear. Eleanor leaned forward. Assumptions hurt, Travis. They're not just mistakes theory learned. You've got a chance to unlearn them. The store's starting training. Will you show up? He met her gaze, nodding. I will. I want to do better. It was an absolution, but it was a start. Eleanor stood, leaving him with her words. This isn't about one apology. It's about changing how you see people. The movement grew. Eleanor partnered with a civil rights group led by Thomas Reed, a charismatic lawyer with a knack for policy. Together, they launched a campaign, Equity in Aisles, targeting racial profiling in retail. Community meetings buzzed with energy teachers, small business owners, and students shared stories, their voices weaving a tapestry of resolve. At one gathering, a teacher named Janice proposed youth education on empathy, while Ricardo, a local entrepreneur, pushed for legislative reforms. Eleanor listened, her heart swelling. This was no longer her fight, it was theirs. The campaign gained traction. Artists painted murals across Columbus, depicting unity and resilience. A filmmaker, Oliver, produced a short documentary, blending Eleanor's story with others' experiences. Social media amplified their message, with Equity in Aisles trending nationwide. Eleanor's tech company joined in, developing an app for reporting bias incidents, empowering communities to demand accountability. A pivotal moment came at City Hall, where Eleanor met with Councilwoman Grace Thompson and a task force of civic leaders. Grace, a veteran advocate, laid out their goal: city ordinances mandating anti-bias training and transparency in retail. Eleanor pushed for measurable standards data on training outcomes, public reports on inclusivity. A retail spokesperson, Marjorie, cautioned about costs, but Eleanor countered. Investing in equity isn't a burden, it's a necessity. Businesses that prioritize fairness thrive. The task force drafted policies, including incentives for inclusive businesses and a citywide recognition program. As the meeting ended, Grace clasped Eleanor's hand. You've changed this city, Eleanor. We're leading the nation because of you. Eleanor smiled, but her mind was on the next step, ensuring these policies took root. The climax arrived at Unity for Equality, a citywide event in a Grand Columbus auditorium. The stage glowed with banners proclaiming hope and justice. Eleanor stood backstage, nerves tingling, as performers and speakers stirred the crowd. When Grace introduced her, the applause was thunderous. Eleanor stepped forward, her presence commanding. Good evening, she began, her voice clear. We're here not just to celebrate new policies, but to commit to lasting change. My story started in a grocery store, but it belongs to all of you's very person who's faced injustice and dared to stand tall. The crowd leaned in, hanging on her words. These policies are a beginning, not an end. We must stay vigilant, hold businesses accountable, and teach our children empathy. Together, we're rewriting what justice looks like. She paused, letting the weight settle. This isn't about me. It's about the cashier who spoke up, the artist who painted truth, the councilwoman who fought for policy. It's about you. The auditorium erupted, a wave of cheers signaling unity. Eleanor stepped back, her heart full. The night ended with music and pledges, a community bound by purpose. Months later, Eleanor sat in her office, the city skyline a quiet backdrop. The ordinances were in effect, training programs rolled out, and the store chain had transformed, with Linda and Travis among its advocates. Eleanor's app was downloaded thousands of times, and Equity in Aisles inspired similar campaigns nationwide. She turned a moment of pain into a legacy of progress. Reflecting, Eleanor knew change wasn't complete. Bias lingered, and vigilance was key. But she'd seen what unity could do, how one voice, joined by others, could shift a city, a nation. She closed her laptop, ready for the next challenge, her resolve unshaken. What do you think? This story tackles violence and injustice not with fists, but with words, systems, and solidarity. Have you faced or witnessed bias in everyday spaces? Do you believe accountability, like Travis's, can lead to real change, or is punishment the answer? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's debate, reflect, and build a better future together.